So I was in public somewhere and I saw this woman and she was drinking. And I noticed that she was visibly pregnant. So I approached her. I walked up, I asked her, I said, "Are you pregnant?" She said she was, and I asked her how far along she was. She said that she was about 5 or 6 months. I'm sure she didn't know how pregnant she was. I highly doubt that she'd been to a doctor. And I said, "And you're drinking?" She said, "Yep, I'm drinking." And I couldn't believe it. Like, I couldn't believe it. It just, like, I had to ask her 3 times, like, "You're drinking? And you don't care that, CPS is going to come, and you don't care that what you might be, how you're affecting the child, how you might be affecting the baby? Like, aren't you worried?" And she was just, it was not a big deal to her. And I told her, I said, you know, this child has a right to, like, at that point, it's too late. I mean, the child is already 5 or 6 months along, and, she doesn't care. And I got to thinking that there are children who are born to mothers like this who do these things. When a child is born in the hospital, when the mother goes for prenatal care, they check to see if the mother has drugs in her system, if she has alcohol or whatever in her system. And if she tests positive for something, they call CPS, as they should. And the child gets taken away. But here's the thing that they do not do, that they should do. If it was up to me, if I were a politician, I would file a bill in which, if a mother tests positive for drugs and alcohol while she is pregnant, and if drugs and alcohol are found in her system, the child gets taken away, and this mother, she should have to pay child support for the rest of her natural born life, or until the child passes away, whichever comes first. She should have to, these mothers, they should have to pay child support for the rest of the child's life. Even if the child grows up to become a healthy, functional adult, goes to college, goes to, goes to trade school, gets married, has a family, she should pay child support. If the child grows up to be a millionaire, that mother should pay child support. Yep, she should pay child support, because drugs and alcohol, what that mother was doing, the one that was, I told you she was drinking, that is assault that is assault. That's assault against a child. Of course, you know how society is. They say it's not a child. It's a clump of cells. It's not a human being yet, because it hasn't been born. It's like, I don't know where these people get their ideas from, but that's a child. It's a child, and it will become a child, and therefore that child is now a human being and possibly has the disabilities associated because of the mother's consequences. Okay, that child cannot give consent. That child cannot say, "Hey, I don't want this in my system." That child has no voice. The child it's not able to say, "Mom, don't eat that. Don't drink that. Don't eat those foods, or don't drink this, or don't do this drug." That child is being forced to accept the selfish behavior of that mother. The child cannot do anything to defend itself, and the child did not do anything to ask for such an assault against him or her inside the womb. And that is the thing. Instead of putting her in prison, let's put her in child support for the rest of her life, even if the child does not have a visible disability. And that's the thing, because There are disabilities, there are problems that are happening to the child that we cannot see. The child was assaulted inside the mother's womb. The mother assaulted her own child inside of the womb. That child was assaulted inside of the mother's womb. That is selfish. That is a vicious assault, and the mother should have to pay for it. But instead, what happens? Okay, the government makes everyone pay for it, except the mother. Society makes the father pay for the child support, not the mother. Why? The child was inside the mother's womb. The father did not drink or do drugs while he was pregnant. So why is he having to pay for the child? Why not make her pay for the child? Why are they making the father pay for the child's disabilities when the mother created them? Why not hold her accountable? There's no logic to this. It doesn't make any sense. It's not fair. These unborn children, they have no voice, that no one speaks up for them, and they don't get heard, and this is how you stop this. Just think, okay, if all of these mothers or expectant mothers knew that this was a penalty, they knew that there was a risk that they're going to pay child support for the rest of their life, I bet they wouldn't. You'd see the drug use, you'd see the alcohol use, you'd see it slow down. I bet you would. I bet you would, because the father's not the one. See, they do it because there's no consequence. They're not held accountable. Only the father's held accountable. But if the father's not held accountable, second of all, okay, both parents should pay child support in one way or another. Okay, that's another thing. They both should pay. But the father, he stops paying when the child becomes a legal adult. But the mother, she keeps paying child support because she created the disability. But this one-sided system that we have, it's not working. The abuse, the unborn child abuse, it has to stop. And the child inside the womb is not just a clump of cells. It is that child, he or she is a developing human being that has a right to be healthy, that has a right to live his or her full potential in life. And the mother is robbing that child of his or her right to live full potential. So yeah, she should pay child support for the rest of her life. That's what I think.